Hey, everybody. In our last lesson, we talked about the difference between trying to sell somebody and tripping up resistance, stimulus within the other person, and the idea of honing the concept of attraction, where you can actually get them to want to buy from you, where they have no reason to give you an objection whatsoever. Now, I never learned this in sales training. I never learned it from anybody in business whatsoever. In fact, for the longest time, I sucked at sales. My first job that I ever had in sales, I worked selling home improvement products. So it's like doors, windows, siding, all that stuff. And I worked for this company called Thermomaster in Ohio. I don't even know if they're still in existence or not. But I worked there for about 3 months and I didn't sell anything, zero. And the biggest achievement that I had there was that I lasted 3 months at all. So as I went into other jobs, it was the same thing. I don't know that I was really that great, but I really had to bust my butt and work 3 times as hard, seemingly, as everybody else, and I would barely make it by. And yet, at the same time, I look at people who were just killing it, and I didn't understand how they were doing it. I thought, geez, these people must be naturally good at sales. And I just thought, well, I'm not them, and I'm never going to be them. And I kind of wrote it off. So fast forward a number of years, I end up talking to these 2 guys in this underground pickups community here in San Diego. And what I mean by that is normally when you hear a pickup community, you think, okay, these guys are picking up girls. But in this group, it was the exact opposite. If your goal was to pick up a girl in our group, you were doing something wrong. That was not the intent. What we were doing, and what these guys were doing rather, was they were actually getting girls to pick them up. And their goal was never to get a number or to get a new girlfriend or get more dates or anything like that. The goal within the group was to elevate your true internal value so high, and it's not faking it. I mean, it's really truly understanding your own value and shedding the things that sabotage your thought life so that when people meet you, they don't see this conflict within you, but they see it somebody who's totally confident, humble, secure in themselves, and they want to be a part of it. It's a very attractive person. And you've met people like this in your own life. And so I'd see them basically doing this, and I had no experience in this. And I'd see them getting these results, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, we'd be out on a Saturday night, and there's all these guys trying to basically hit on these girls and get their numbers, and they're getting shot down left and right. And yet here are my friends, Diesel and Chupa, and we had call signs. I mean, it's San Diego. It's home of Top Gun. And they just were always attracting some really beautiful, smart, intelligent, high-value women. And so I never really knew how they did it. And so fortunately, I earned their trust and became friends with them, and they kind of walked me through it. And they really showed me that part of the process is that when we talk to somebody, whether if it's in a sales context, we're telling somebody how amazing we are, how much experience we have, how our great customer service is, how we're dedicated. You can call us 24/7 and talk about all the great things about us and our products. But in the background, we have all these self-destructive thoughts. We have fears, worries, inferiorities, and insecurities that basically get in the way, and they kind of tamp out and they contradict, in a sense, the message that we're verbally sending. So every message we're sending verbally says one thing, but yet all our nonverbal cues are sending something totally separate, and they're crossing the wires. And people see that and they just get out of there. And so really the idea was when you would talk to a girl, the reaction you're getting is just, it's like a thermometer. It's just a true measurement of where you're really at, because women are very smart, they're very intuitive, and they don't really miss a lot. They're definitely smarter than guys for sure. And so around this time where I was really starting to incorporate this and take this in and really make this my own, I started this new sales job, and it was actually in a call center, and I had never worked in a call center before. So as we're going through training, they're telling us you need to make 300 calls a day and need to pound the phones, and no matter what you do in a given week, you're going to start over from scratch and do it all over again Monday. And so, fine, whatever, I told you, that's kind of how I always did things anyway. And then during the first couple of days, I was just talking to people on the phone, and I quickly realized, I'm like, wow, these people that I'm talking to basically are responding the exact same way that all the women that I see out in my life respond. So when a guy comes up to talk to them, they see them coming a mile away. They presume what their intentions are. They think that they're only out to get something for themselves, and then they're going to have an answer to shut you down no matter what you do. And if you try 3 times, they're going to have 4 answers. If you try 11 times, they're going to have 12 answers. And so all of a sudden, I kind of did the math in my head, and I thought, I wonder what would happen if I just ditched everything that I ever learned about sales training and just did what I do outside of work and just be the person I am outside of work, but on the phone. And I got to tell you, my first thought was, this is not going to work. There's no way. How could it possibly work? It just didn't make any sense. But then as I started to reflect on it, I did the math on it. I'm like, gosh, it should work. But it was a big decision. It was a big paradigm that I had to really replace. But I looked at 300 calls a day for the foreseeable future, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot, and we'll see. And I might fall flat on my face, but I'm going to give it a shot. And so I did that. And in the first week, on a team of 15 people, again, I had never done this before, I was number 2 on my team. And Brandy was number 1. So Brandy, if you're watching this, I remember that week. A couple months later, I was in the top 10 or 20-ish in the whole company. And after about 4 or 5 months, I was in the top 5 for sure. And I was the lowest outbound call person in the entire company. In fact, my manager had a couple words with me about that. He's like, you need to get your calls up. And I'm like, it's never going to happen. I'm fielding calls all the time. So one of the things that I quickly realized was, when it comes to sales, it's really the people we're talking to are no different than everybody else. When they meet a salesperson, they have that same presumption that the women did. They see you coming a mile away. They presume your motives. They think that you're going to get more out of it than they will. And then they have an answer to every objection. Every objection that you overcome, they have one more answer to than you can give. But yet at the same time, when I was doing the things that Diesel and Chupa taught me, I wasn't pursuing anybody. And yet really cool people were starting to come in my life. Athletically, I started to have the best performance I've ever had. And overall, it was like you'd start to have these amazing things happen to you and come into your life, and you're not even trying. And then on top of that, when I started doing this in my sales job, those same results happened in sales. I started to get the most clients of anybody else, and they all stuck. That's not a word. They all took. And these people were all high referring. So I never really had to make a whole lot of outbound calls. I had enough business calling me. And so one of the things that I quickly realized was this was just like in the gaming world, this was a cheat code. This was something that allowed you to do something that very few people could do. You're tapping into a code deeply embedded in this game where you can do amazing things, almost the impossible. You have tools that nobody else can have. You have superpowers that nobody else has. You can shortcut right to the end and skip all the difficulty and win the game without hardly any effort. And so as we go into our next few lessons, we're going to delve deeper into some of the things that I was taught in the community and how they directly relate to elements within the sales process that we all have trouble with. And when you understand these concepts, you're going to understand that applying these concepts into your sales process, it's going to make things super easy and solve problems that you never even thought were solvable.